Welcome to another edition of the SABC News COVID-19 Global Wrap, where myself, Babalole Phaka, and my colleague Busisiwe Khatebe bring you highlights of news which dominated headlines with regards to the coronavirus pandemic. But before we delve into it, let us have a look at some global stats. The world currently sits at over 14 million confirmed cases, with over 8 million recoveries and over 600,000 deaths. South Africa, which currently now ranks 6th in the world, sits at over 320,000 confirmed cases, with over 160,000 recoveries and over 4,600 deaths.
In South Africa, in a bid to address the surging number of infections in the country, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced risk-adjusted lockdown level 3 restrictions. These include, among others, the wearing of a face mask in public spaces now being made mandatory and a ban on the dispensing, distribution, and sale of alcohol.
A curfew will be put in place between the hours of 9 p.m. and 4 a.m. Apart from people who need to travel to and from work or who need to seek urgent medical or other assistance during this time, everyone will be required to remain at home.
Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga has been placed under mounting pressure by the South African Democratic Teachers Union to close down schools as COVID-19 infections peak. The Teachers Union has raised concerns that some schools are not well equipped to deal with positive cases and are subsequently forced to shut down. The World Health Organization has also warned against the reopening of schools.
But the best and safest way to reopen schools is in the context of low community transmission that has been effectively suppressed by a broad-based, comprehensive strategy.
And lastly, Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize has welcomed the news of Russia's vaccine trial for COVID-19, but warns that it's still early days.
Yes, certainly we have heard of this, but it is not discovering a vaccine, but there are many vaccines which are on trial at different phases in the whole world. There is one that's being done here in South Africa, which is one phase where South Africa, the UK, the US, Brazil are also all participating.
On to the rest of Africa. The continent has now recorded over 667,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases, with over 346,000 recoveries and over 14,300 deaths. In Kenya, 4 health workers have died from COVID-19 related complications, while over 400 have been infected. The number may be higher now as more people get tested. Meanwhile, Madagascar President Andry Rajoelina has confirmed that 2 lawmakers have died of COVID-19 and at least 25 members of Parliament and of the Senate have been infected with the virus since the first case was confirmed on the island in March. And lastly, the Democratic Republic of Congo's Labour Minister, Nene Ilunga Nkulu, has given copper and cobalt mining companies a month to stop confining workers on site away from their families as part of COVID-19 restrictions and return to normal operations.
And in international news, with soaring cases now exceeding the 3.6 million mark, the United States of America continues to grapple with an average of 60,000 new national infections daily. Texas, Arizona, and Florida have experienced skyrocketing COVID-19 hospitalizations and ICU admissions. These hardest-hit hotspots have also had to secure several refrigerated trailers to store bodies, as morgues also fill up amid rising virus deaths. In Latin America, Brazil President Jair Bolsonaro tested positive for the coronavirus for the second time, a week after announcing that he had become infected. Bolsonaro continued in his endorsement of the malaria drug hydroxychloroquine, despite a lack of scientific evidence to prove its efficiency against COVID-19. In Asia, India has now surpassed the 1 million infections mark as it struggles to contain the worsening pandemic. Hong Kong imposed a set of strict new measures on Tuesday as authorities warned of the risk of a large-scale outbreak. These include the mandatory use of a face mask for public transport users, the closure of gyms and places of amusement, and limiting group gatherings from 50 people to only 4. And in Europe, a health expert, Stephen Holgate, warned that Britain potentially faces a more deadly second wave of COVID-19 that could kill up to 120,000 people as the winter season approaches. And shoppers in England have been warned to wear face masks and coverings or face fines of up to £100, a directive that will be made mandatory from July 24. And as countries around the world are in the race for a COVID-19 vaccine, CEO of pharmaceutical company Merck & Co. Incorporated, Kenneth Frazier, cautioned that vaccines under development are not guaranteed to work, as they may not have the qualities needed to be rapidly deployed in large numbers. Meanwhile, Russia has denied hacking allegations leveled by Britain, the USA, and Canada. The 3 countries accuse Moscow of trying to steal information from researchers of a COVID-19 vaccine.